Okay, good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to call this meeting to order. This is a special meeting of the Gainesville City Commission. We have one item on our agenda, which is to discuss and hopefully move forward with our redistricting plans for the next 10 years based on the 2020 census. We are very glad to have with us our Supervisor of Elections, Kim Barton, and some of her outstanding staff. We also have Ms. Evelyn Fox with the NAACP and Rodney Long, who have long been participating in these districting conversations, and so we're glad that you're here as well. And of course, we've got our own legal staff who's been working on this. And I believe Mr. McDonald and or Mr. Smith are supposed to be here. Is that correct, as far as we know?
I think Dr. Smith is available at some point. He had a meeting, I believe, until 4, and is hopeful to be here before then. And Dr. McDonald, I think, might be out of state right now.
Okay. Very good. So they've been assisting us with this process from the beginning, and of course our well-respected professors from the Political Science Department at the University of Florida. So if we can get a motion to adopt our agenda, Commissioner Santos.
So moved.
Second.
Motion a second to adopt our agenda. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? That motion passes. And with that, I don't know where to start. I do know, based on some emails we got, that Commissioner Santos has been very busy over the last week. We could start there, but I think I'd prefer to hear from Supervisor Barton to see where she is and what some of your concerns, Supervisor, there might be, and what you're hoping for the city to consider as we're trying to adopt these final maps, if that's okay with you.
Mayor Poe, Commissioners. I have with me Tim Williams, Assistant Supervisor of Elections, and Mike Bruckman, vote by mail coordinator, who's worked so diligently with myself and Tim Williams, trying to work on redistricting. As you all are aware, I watched the last meeting, and it just really caused me a great concern. And so what I'd like to do is just make some comments, and then I'll have Mike come and present. The meeting disturbed me because I know I have never had an adversarial relationship with anyone on this commission, and I've always been amenable to anything that you all have brought up to me. So I was really concerned. I know I worked with Commissioner Ward on the canvassing board, Commissioner Areola, as well as Mayor Poe, and we've always had a great working relationship, and I would hope my office has done as well. When I looked at the meeting, I've always provided you all with professional courtesy, each one of you, and being an elected official, respected you all in your positions. And I just want to have that same professional courtesy returned to me as well. The tone in some things were just, to me, it just really surprised me. There were comments that were made that something that I said, I didn't say. And most of you all who know me, it didn't even sound like me. So I want to get that out first and foremost. You all scheduled a meeting today. I had other things scheduled. So we're going to present, and then we have to get back to the office because I do have some other things scheduled. You all asked me to come to see where we were as of now, and that's what we're here to do. But I do want to just, sometimes people hear things and they don't get the whole story. So I just want to share this first. Last year, we'd hoped that the March election was going to be the last standalone election. We just came off the heels of the 2020, had an outstanding election, flawless election, and I thought Florida really did shine. So after that, we knew we were going to have the city election, our last standalone election. And we were going to have vacations, and we were going to get ready for redistricting, and something tragic happened. We lost our chief deputy, who always did redistricting for us. So in the midst of that, we lost our chief deputy. And then we had a special election. The city asked us to do a special election. And what I said to you all was, we're gonna do that city election. Anytime you all have asked us to do something, no matter what was going on, what the constraints or challenges, we've done it. I only asked you all one thing, and that was, can winner take all? You all voted it down. What did I say? Okay, we're gonna have a runoff election. Runoff election went flawless. And so, though we've since that time have lost some employees, you know, elections is hard right now. Elections is very hard. And I can tell you from talking to other supervisors across the state, a lot of them saying they're not running again. So elections is hard, but we keep pressing on. So now, you know, you've asked us to do petitions. We said, of course we'll do petitions. So we've done petitions. So that's why I'm saying I've always been amenable to anything you all have asked. And so we've done petitions. We just finished doing over 80,000 petitions. Initiative petitions, candidate petitions. So we have a lot on our plate. But now we come to redistricting. I know when previous supervisor of elections, Pam Carpenter, when she did her precinct lines, the city followed. When Bev Hill did her precinct lines, the city followed. When Buddy Irby did his, the city followed. So I just, you know, I'm always willing to work with you all. I want to have a great relationship with you all. Elections is what we do. And so just to let you know, your consultant didn't contact me till about a couple weeks ago. So I thought that was they should have contacted me earlier to see what I was going to be looking at. And I've always said I was going to follow the legislative lines as much as possible, not have so many splits. And some splits are going to be inevitable. That's just the way it is. But I think they started late in the conversation with me, not with you all, but with me. And you all know the census was late coming anyway. So, you know, we're following an orderly process with redistricting. And so at your meeting, it was brought up about my consultant. I don't have a consultant, so I just want to make that clear. ICW is the company that has worked with me. They've worked with Pam Carpenter. They work with Bev Hill. They are geocoding our voters. They're doing the conflation, so they're doing everything that needs to get done on the front end. So when it gets to go into my voter, they import it into my voter registration system. So I don't have a consultant for re-precincting. We're looking at the maps. My office is doing that. So I just want to make that clear. And it has always been clear that, as I said, I was going to follow the legislative lines. You know, if you leave it as it is, then it's going to be an even bigger problem because your districts are based on 2012. The population has grown, so just leave it like it is, it's going to be a mess for us. It's going to be a mess. And the way, again, as the legislature drew the lines, it's already crazy for us. But, you know, we did, and Mike would bring this up, we have one new precinct because of the population growth. We got to find a polling place. We got to purchase new equipment. That's county, and staffing. So we've already lost Lifestyle. So we've got to find a polling place to replace Lifestyle. We've lost City College. These are city precincts. So I would hope, you know, people will hear this and know that we're in need of polling places. Maybe they can reach out to me if they have some ideas. But I just wanted to just kind of clear the air because going forward, I want to continue to have a great relationship with you all. And the way things were said that I didn't say, I want to be clear. I will continue to have a great relationship with you all, but I just want that same respect that I provide you all as an elected official. So at this time, I'm going to ask Mike Bruckman to come up, and he's going to let you all see those changes that we are looking at. And as I said, we have some other things. Once we present, we're going to have to leave because we have some other things that we have to get back to.
Thank you, Ms. Barton. And before Ms. Bruckman does this, I really appreciate you being with us today and taking the time. I know just how incredibly valuable that time is. And you know, on behalf of the entire organization, including this commission, I want to apologize for anything that might have been said that you felt did not represent your professionalism and character. I can vouch for both, and you have been exceptional to work with. I think our frustration rests almost entirely with the state legislature and how they carved up Gainesville into 4 different legislative districts, making our job that much more difficult. But we know that there is as Plato would say, a golden mean. There is, it's not perfect, but we can find something that's going to work for the city as well for you and the precincts that you end up drawing and adopting. So we know that it's there. It's been difficult trying to just figure exactly what that means, but we know that we can achieve that, and hopefully we'll do so today. So we appreciate your patience, and you know, hopefully we get through this and we have some good precincts and good districts for the next 10 years.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good to see you.
Right, I've got the map up for us for what we are about to propose, and might be easier if I I can toggle the city map on and off like this. So that shows the borders given to us, and the I believe your current city districts on and off there. The house line is yellow. That's a little bit harder to see, but at least on this map, not as relevant. The Senate line here at this point, slightly more relevant. I can toggle that on and off. As you'll see, the Senate line moves from West Newberry Road, from the west part of the county, down I-75, up Archer Road, and then up here through 13th Street, and then east along East University, and then up Waldo Road. So we were cut in half on the Senate line, and the legislative line zigzags in a interesting way through the city. So we had to take those into account to make sure, as much as possible, that there were as few splits as possible. So currently, 43, 52, and 48 remain virtually unchanged, along with 42. Those are the southwestern parts of the city. For 32, 36, and 39, these precincts used to be layered on top of each other, 32, then 36, then 39. This particular line is now a legislative line. This line here is the Senate line, so it made sense to then move 36 west, and population required that we take some of 39 and extend it like that. 54 is split between city and county, I believe, because this particular large block is, I believe the city ran through a census block here, so we had to adopt an entire census block to make sure that 54 is contiguous there. 44 has been shrunk a bit. 23 is expanded to take some of 44's population. Let me put the city back up there. 31 is virtually unchanged. It runs slightly further south because this is now the legislative line here. It was slightly north, ended slightly north here. 59 is the big change. 59 was split to the north here by the Senate line, and to south and east here by the legislative line. So because it was so populous, we created a new precinct. The precinct to the south is will be the new, well, we're terming 40 because 40 was absorbed earlier from the north, and we'll see that later. Precinct 19 remains virtually unchanged. It follows a legislative line to the west I believe, increased slightly in population. And 25 has been cut off at University because that is the Senate line. 28 remains virtually unchanged, so did 27. We move, see if we can move to the east here. Here's the Senate line here. And that left most of the east precincts virtually unchanged. 30 and 33 are still split between city and county. We do have a choice here. The Senate line runs right along here, and we could decide to include city instead, but we have to make a choice, and I think we've chosen the Senate line here. 12 remains virtually unchanged because 25 was cut off here. It used to run south of University Avenue, and when it got cut off by the Senate line, that decreased its population dramatically, and so we have moved 25 north and taken part of 7. It used to extend down to, I believe that was 8th, yes, so. Seven used to extend down here. Now 25 expands up to 16th Avenue. It follows the legislative line here. It's the shading that you really should pay attention to here. So 5's border expanded east past 13th Street. 5's border used to be slightly more west. We now have cut that off due to population, and 26 is now more box-shaped and took some of 5. 12 remains virtually unchanged, and so does 55. 57 is a major change. 57 used to end here. This is the legislative line here, running north, that yellow part. So now 57 runs north-south, and because of that, 50, 17, and 21, we had to make some interesting decisions on. Because of population, we were really trying hard to see if 17 could be cut off anywhere else because of where this population votes. I believe it's the Elks Lodge. But because of population, we had to draw a hard line at 39th Avenue here. And 50 had to expand west for population reasons past 34th Street here. That's not as much of a concern because I believe they vote right there at the church right at 34th, just south outside of the precinct. 61 expanded slightly west and now follows the city border. That's now exclusively a city precinct. North is a major change. 45 used to be the big precinct. That's now outside the city line, I believe, completely. The legislative lines meet here, cutting this, what used to be 45 into thirds. 37 is now the big precinct, moving north and bordered on the legislative line here on 3 sides. It made the most sense to cut it off there. It has become extremely populous, and there's not much we can do about it. 38 now expands into where 45 used to be and follows this legislative line, and is bordered on the north also by the legislative line and the city border. And what used to be 40 here is now gone. It's been absorbed into 24 and 22. And that little hook that's, I believe, the Northwest Regional Medical Center and this houses surrounding it are now part of 32, making it contiguous and inside the city precinct. We made these choices to eliminate as many splits as possible between city and county and legislative districts. They were difficult choices, but we're confident that these work as best we can. That's it, gentlemen and ladies. Thank you.
Thank you. So just to summarize, right now there are no splits with legislative districts. The only splits are between, there are some precincts that are both in the city and in the county.
At least inside the city, we tried to eliminate splits as much as possible. There are splits between city and county, yes.
Right.
We made that choice, but we tried to follow legislative lines wherever possible, yes.
Okay.
38 would have been nice to be an entirely city precinct, but the legislature made an interesting choice right here and drew their legislative line here instead of following your city border. So they have made for us a little bit of a hassle there. And maybe this is city and county split.
Looks like an annexation opportunity.
Yeah, that would be nice. But other than that, we were given lines by the legislature, and wasn't our first choice, those lines, but we had to follow.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Bruckman.
Thank you.
Mr. Chestnut?
Thank you, Mr. Butler, 45, what Senate district and what legislative district is that in now?
Yes, give me a moment. 45 is above the median, above the center line, so that is, I'm sorry? Yes, Senate District, yes, that's North Senate District 6.
And then what House district?
Looks like, give me a moment, looks like
22?
No, I believe it's 10. This
10?
line this line runs here.
10.
This line above here, all above here is 10. And then here is 21, and then here is 22. 22 reaches in here and curves up into the city at 37, but 45 remains outside and in District 10.
And
That's District 10.
what is Yvonne? 21.
The legislative lines meet, I believe, all three meet somewhere in here.
No, I was just curious about 45.
Yes, it's, they carve, the legislative lines carve city virtually into thirds.
Thank you. Quite
problem.
interesting.
Yeah, thank you. Mr. Williams, is there anything you wanted to add, or you just here for support?
No, not at this time.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so very helpful, thank you. I know how
Thank you, guys.
much work that was and how difficult it was made on you, based on the lines that eventually were adopted by the legislature. And again, we still haven't, we still don't have congressional lines, so hopefully that doesn't add another layer of complexity. So Commissioner A. Santos, you want to discuss your efforts
Yeah, thank you.
based on that?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, so after hearing concerns from the public, specifically around Duck Pond and Stephen Foster, Duck Pond and our previous proposed map being included in District 1, and the concerns that would dilute some of the voting power in District 1 for minority access, and then also including Stephen Foster into one district. I don't know if the clerk, could you put up the map? I also took into consideration the precincts that the Supervisor Barton put forward, and tried to, follow them in all the places except for two areas. It gets really hard to keep the precincts in line with having with Duck Pond being in D4. So this is the proposed one. It follows all of the Stinnett and House district lines, so it doesn't cross any of those. I don't know if you can zoom in a little more, because, yeah. And so two areas, so the one thing I brought forward, you should have this in front of you too, was able to run the numbers on instead of looking at just the voter age population, but looking at actual people who turned out to vote in the 2020 August election. This proposed map would have 54% turnout for black voters and 34% white. The previous proposal from our consultants would have their District 1 at 44% black and 46% white. One of the reasons why I was able to increase the number of black voters in this is putting in Sorority Row in the student areas just east of campus and taking out Duck Pond. Duck Pond votes very heavily. They have a very high turnout. And in the student areas, east Sorority Row area has a lot of people, 10,000 people over there, but very, very low voter turnout. So that allows District 1 to have a higher chance or more of a minority access district. There are 2 areas of precincts that are split. I don't know if you can point to the. This area here, which is.
Is that mic on?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
This area here, which is precinct 12. This is split. The rest of precinct 12 is here. And then this portion of 23 was taken in to District 1 to make the numbers as close as possible and within like the 3% margin. It just gets really, really hard to make the numbers work without having split precincts and keeping Duck Pond in D4 because there's such huge, and within where the House lines and Senate lines, this makes it very difficult. So I think this is the best chance we can have, and I think it addresses everyone's concerns as much as we can. That's my thoughts. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay.
Have any questions on this map or, yeah.
Yeah, we have Commissioner Ward, and then after him, I'd like to hear from the supervisor and/or her colleagues. I just a reaction to that. Yeah, Mr. Bruckman, if you're ready now, that'd be fine.
Just one question, the portion that you're taking from 23rd, there's a small little triangle area, basically right by the DNA bridge.
That's all in D1, so it keeps
Okay.
it follows those house lines there, or the Senate
Great.
line, I guess there. Yeah.
Okay. That's okay for me. That's okay for me, great.
And Raul, could we get the little pointer thing? That might be helpful for all of us involved. I think it's stowed somewhere. Thank you. And I know that this pointer is counterintuitive, so the button you think one would press to get the laser, then we might need it for you. Just leave it out. We can maybe use it from the dais here as well. Okay, Commissioner Ward.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So going back just a little bit, I want to thank everyone from the supervisor's office for being here very much, and I'm sorry for the confusion. Supervisor Barton and I talked on last week and had a really good conversation to help me understand the process better, and I appreciate that. If I could ask y'all, what are the next steps for your precinct maps? Just stepping back from this for a minute.
We've got to work on the county precincts. When we started, we were starting 1, 2, and then when all this conversation came in, we stopped county precincts and just did the city precincts. So we've got to get back and get busy. We think have probably a couple days, Mike and Tim, get through county precincts from there, and from that point, just really taking a long look at it. If there's something, today, I wasn't here to present what we have. I know you all have to make your decisions regarding the districts, so we weren't here to speak on that. But the next step is to just get them all, because the county commission has to approve that for us. So that's where I am right now. And this is all new to me.
Right.
Though I've worked in the elections office since '93, I never had anything to do with redistricting. So this is, Will Boyette was the redistricting guru for us. So, but we're getting it done, and we're moving in an orderly fashion, so.
So, Mr. Mayor, Supervisor Barton, you all then take, once you have your maps the way you need them to be, then you'll take them to the county commission and they have to accept all that, right?
They have to approve it.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
All right. Very good. Thank you so much.
Real quick, Supervisor Barton, and/or Mr. Buckley, I know you were conferring based on this. Does this proposed or potential map work within the sort of parameters of what you're looking for, or is this still pose some issues for you? You don't have to answer now. I'll go to Commissioner Chestnut, but that's. I'd love to hear from you whether this is something that is workable for y'all. Commissioner Chestnut.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And thank you, Commissioner Santos. Great job. Very busy. What I like about your proposal is, one, it preserves the legacy seat. I'm very concerned that we keep that legacy seat. In fact, I'm glad Commissioner Long is here because he's the one that first fought to get it. Secondly, and I'm happy that you keep all of the precincts whole. Stephen Foster is not split. So I think this is quite workable. Thank you.
Thank you. So do y'all have an opinion or any? I mean, I'd just like to hear it. Like, if this works, if you're, it is workable. That's all I want, right? If I'm hearing that from you, then all of a sudden I feel a lot better. So, okay.
It's workable, but I want to take a look at it more closely.
Okay, but
And see
no
what the effects
big
are.
red flags. It's just maybe. Okay.
Let me just leave it at that.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
No, I don't want you to commit to something, but yeah, if you see something that really concerns you, it's best that we hear about it now. But if
Yeah.
it looks okay right now, then that's helpful.
You know, I'm not good with maps. I have to have something really close up on me. So this doesn't help me at all. So I'll be honest. So I'd rather go back if Commissioner Santos can send that to us and we'll take a look at it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, I think the clerk can do that right now.
Okay.
So it'll be waiting for you. Okay, thank you.
We have to get back to the office.
All right,
If that's
thank you
okay.
so much for being here,
Okay.
appreciate it. We'll
Thank
get
you
this
all.
right over to you. If there's any concerns, please let us know as soon as you can, and we'll
Okay.
address it.
Thank you.
Thank you all, appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate
Commissioner
your
Ariola?
Thank you. I just wanted to thank the supervisor for her time.
All right.
Appreciate you.
Good,
And
good.
Put my support behind the proposed map, and I think this is a good place for us to head, and I think we're making good time for us to hit our April 17th deadline.
Thank you. Commissioner Ward?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I think, and I haven't been able to look at it as closely as I would like. I don't think any of us have, to be honest. These are all pretty fresh to us. I like the direction. What I don't like is that I think there may be some neighborhoods split, but I want to take a good look and make sure that I understand that very well. It may be that the neighborhoods that are split are okay with that. But my concern is that this has not had any vetting from the community. And that's a big deal. It doesn't mean that we can't get vetting before we move to an ordinance meeting. But I do want to make sure that if we're going to take something very much like this and move toward an ordinance, that we have the opportunity to get it out in front of the public in a way that's not in a meeting here in our auditorium. And time will be tight to get that done. And there are organizations like the NAACP that I want to make sure have a chance to look through this. The 4As, any other groups that are interested, neighborhood groups, need a chance to look at this before I'm going to vote for it at first reading. But there are opportunities to do small fixes as we go at that level. So I'm not saying that this won't work. I'm just saying we need to double down on efforts to talk to the community about it before we vote for a first and second reading. So I'm tentatively supportive of this, but I need to take a closer look at it and have the community look at it closer before I'm 100% with it. So thank you.
Commissioner Santos?
Thank you, Mayor. I completely agree. I think this is very fresh. I just got the precincts on Saturday. I just worked on them. I think we should have a special meeting on Thursday before or right at 1 p.m. on GPC, so that gives enough time for the supervisor to look at it, our consultants, at least some, and then if there are any big changes, we can make that before we get to first reading, and then have our first reading on April 7th. But that way we would at least have another meeting in between for us to discuss it.
You talking about the 31st? Good.
Yeah, it's the 5th. Is it the 14th?
That's the next TBC.
We have 5 Thursdays this month.
Oh, okay. We don't have one this Thursday.
Yeah.
We have a city commission. I guess after or at some time we have our workshop, CityCon workshop. So maybe in the afternoon on that Thursday.
You're talking about the 31st?
31st, yes. Yeah, March 31st.
Yeah, I'm happy to, yeah, we can schedule. Do you know of any barriers to a 1 o'clock meeting on Thursday? Yeah, it's this Thursday. It's our strategic planning workshop in the morning. Okay. Okay, is that a motion?
I would move that we tentatively move forward with the proposed map. I don't know if you can put it back on the screen, that one. The one that includes Duck Pond in District 4, and that we have a special meeting at 1 p.m. on Thursday to discuss redistricting, and that we schedule first reading on April 7th for the redistricting maps.
Okay, motion is second to tentatively move forward with the map that was presented. And I think, I think, well, maybe implied is not the right word, so we might need to make it explicit that we work to disseminate this map and solicit input from the community through all means possible. So I think press release, working with organizations, sending out to neighborhood groups that we have identified, just sending it and asking for them to. Yeah, I mean, well, I think notice that we're going to have a meeting Thursday to discuss it, that we're not adopting it on Thursday, that the adoption meeting would be on our April 7th agenda. Yeah, so we'll just need to work with local media to hopefully send that out as well as through our city sources. Commissioner?
Yeah, just we could have our consultants look at it before Thursday's meeting as well, just so they could like to have a set of eyes on it. Thank you.
Yeah, and notify the supervisor's office as well, since they were not here for that motion. Commissioner Ariola?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The motion, in effect, answered some of my questions in regards to the timetable for passing on first reading, but you raised sort of the most important point, which is whether or not by this Thursday we're going to have some clear answers from the supervisor as to whether this map is workable. Even if it isn't, though, I think the basis is good enough, and if we need to make some changes to some lines to precincts to make it workable, even if we don't have that information by Thursday, we could have it by April 7th.
And I think the supervisor will have that by Thursday because she just said over the next couple days they're going to be finishing the county precincts. They've got to get those precincts to the county for adoption.
Yeah.
So they're under a timeline anyway. So, and the changes were not significant compared to what they've already seen. So I just think she needs to look at those maps in detail in those couple areas to make sure they work with their precincts.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll let her know, and hopefully she can get that back to us, that feedback back to us. Commissioner Chestnut?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm just concerned that we have enough time to get to the neighborhoods.
Yeah.
I know, and particularly the neighborhoods that are impacted. I don't want them to feel, let me just offer this. Do you think it would be wise or worth our time to then put this meeting out in the community instead of, if we could have it at the MLK Center or, can't have it at Thelma Bolton, but somewhere else, so that we are out in the community. People really feel that we are trying to get their input. Because I think that it is a good map, and I would like for people to feel some involvement before Thursday. I don't know if we can do that before Thursday.
Yeah, I think as far as mobilizing staff and making sure there's facilities available and all that is tough. I
Yeah.
do think as individual commissioners, we could do that, though. I think we could choose to host something, you know, at a church or something like that, where folks could show up and ask questions, which might be a little more doable, just a little less formal, right? So, I think that's a possibility. Commissioner Ward?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I really appreciate the work that's gone into getting this ready. It looks like a map that is good. But I really worry about the speed with which we are working this. It is kind of a breakneck speed to be able to get it done, and that worries me. I just want to voice my concern there. Thank you.
Yeah, and Commissioner, you've mentioned that a couple of times, but I really want to go back to something the supervisor said, which is the districts we have now are not workable. So no matter what, we have to adopt new districts, which means we have to work with a sort of deliberate space, because doing nothing is not an option, you know, according to her. So, I mean, we didn't put ourselves in this position. You know, this was the census being laid and the legislature, you know, doing what they did, but unfortunately, that's sort of where we are. Commissioner Duncan Walker?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I too share the concern about being able to engage the community in understanding what's happening, how critical it is, this new map that we're now looking at, and seriously considering we literally have a couple of days before we do that. And so I know that we have recently made some modifications within our local or our internal communications department. I'm wondering if there is an appetite amongst you all to engage them or bring them into this process to see whatever we can do through social media, et cetera, literally now. And that's unfortunate, but I will tell you that I was concerned when the consultants came back several weeks ago, sharing with us what the engagement experiences had been in East Gainesville. I want to make sure that everybody in District 1 in particular has a very clear understanding of the impacts of this map, both now and in the future. So how we get that done is of particular concern to me. I certainly am wide open to any suggestions here from this dais or from the public, et cetera. But I will say again, in such a short amount of time, and I do understand the need to get this done quickly, but in that short amount of time, I'm wondering if there are suggestions from the dais or the public as to how we can mobilize quickly. And I did hear you, Mayor, about individual commissioners certainly reaching out, absolutely, but also internally. And I'm not sure if the interim city manager might be able to speak to, right off the top of her head, if there is something that communications can do almost immediately. Don't mean to put you on the spot, but that's kind of the situation that we're all in right now.
Madam Manager?
Is this between, Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Is this between now and Thursday?
Well, now on Thursday and now and next week. I mean, we can only do what we can do. We can't ask the impossible. But what I know, so we can put out press release.
We can put out the press
Right,
releases, Mr. Mayor.
immediately.
We can probably have at least one workshop. I mean, I know we have one tomorrow relative to infrastructure. But if it's between now and I don't know what day next week, I mean, I can see, a workshop being noticed, and phone calls being made to neighborhood associations to alert them to it. I mean, we can make an effort.
Right, so that's the other, I know that we have a list of neighborhood organizations and leaders, like we have contact people with many of our neighborhoods. We have a list of faith-based institutions and their leaders. We have a list of community advocacy organizations. And so I think if we send this out to all of them, making them aware of this meeting on Thursday and just briefly explaining what it is, we are required every 10 years to redraw these maps. We're in the, critical stages of that. And so if they have interest, here's where they can learn more and give feedback to the commission. Now, I want to tamper expectations. I mean, we have to do something, and again, we can't make perfect the enemy of the good, but we certainly want people to have access to what is being discussed and considered so they're knowledgeable about it. And I think we can do that through sort of pushing out of the information and links to the materials. Does that sound reasonable?
Not a problem.
Okay, and Commissioner, do you think that would be helpful?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I definitely believe that would be helpful.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Okay, that sounds doable. Commissioner Santos?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. And we can still make changes up until second reading, so we still have weeks before this is approved. So there is time for people to have feedback. I think if we get that information out there, there's still time to make changes as possible. I do think if we're making decisions on the maps and actually I think that should be here at City Hall because it's live streamed, because it's just, this is kind of the accessible place. We want to have workshops or other things to get input. That's good, but I think the decisions if we're making votes, they should be here. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, so right now we have a motion to schedule a special meeting for Thursday to discuss redistricting once again, hopefully get feedback from both the supervisor of elections as well as hopefully some community individuals, organizations that will be impacted, and then based on that, we'll give some direction for the first reading of the ordinance. Yeah.
You want a special meeting or a workshop?
Monday, special meeting, 1 o'clock. Thursday, special meeting, 1 o'clock. Commissioner Ariola?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Apologies if this is a redundant question, but I just want to clarify that we're going to have a working URL that is going to be sent out to the public, so the public can access this on the map that we're about to vote on. If we approve it, I assume we will, that there will be a working URL the public can access, because I don't think that should be missed. There has to be a URL to this link.
I don't know why that would be a barrier, but
That's why I'm stating it clearly. Okay, so as long as everyone in Gainesville, all 141,000 of our neighbors can click on that link and see this map and move it around just like we just did now, I think we're in good order to get this done properly.
okay. So it sounds like that is possible and will be part of the communication. Commissioner Ward,
Mr. Mayor, if I might be excused so I can go to work.
please do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to support the motion, but when we make the map public, there are some border issues between the proposed 2 and 4 that are very difficult to discern on the map. And I want to make sure that they're very clearly marked. Particularly between, it looks like 50 and 17. I did, but they're, yeah. I mean, speaking for the mighty second district, this is going to make some changes to in the middle of neighborhoods between 50 and 17 there, and that's a concern.
Right, but that's
It
largely.
isn't something we can't get past, but we need people to be able to see very clearly which half of the neighborhood is going to be in a different district now.
Right, and I think something we need to communicate is that is largely a function of the supervisor and the precincts that she's drawn, because we're trying to conform our districts to her precinct.
I understand that, but we don't elect by precinct, we elect by district. And I want to make sure that people can see the line very clearly. I'll work with someone to get that worked out, but it's a concern. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Sackler.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To Commissioner Ward's point, I think the clerk had, no, in the backup. In the backup, we had some close-ups of some of the quadrants of the city as part of the backup materials. Maybe on the portions of the map that aren't clear delineations by roads, we could include those just as close as possible zoom-ins to kind of clarify them and make them, I don't know, clearer for the public to see. If you don't have a giant screen that you can look at this on or zoom in as well, it is hard to see. Mind you, I have issues right now seeing, but it is a little difficult to see, on some of those spots. So, and along the border of 3 and 2. So just wherever it's not a clear-cut line. Thank you.
Okay, and I'm just gonna, clear delineation or clear cut line is a subjective term, so I
Sorry,
don't
road
know.
line, clear road line that, separates one
Okay.
side versus the other. I think it's those kind of cut-up neighborhoods that Commissioner Ward was mentioning.
Okay, well, I think if we can just get the precincts that the supervisor has suggested in the boldest possible, I mean, that's it. It's because it's her precincts and that, so.
I just want to be
Good.
clear that these maps did not come from us, they came from the supervisor.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So whatever she can do to, I don't know if they have a tool that can make the lines bolder, but like when I was looking up here with the House and the Senate lines, that was hard for me to see. So, if there's some way we can sort of make those just the contrast greater, that might address that situation. Commissioner Ward?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Street lines would be very helpful. It's real easy to see lots on here and homes and buildings, not always easy to see which streets we're working with in that particular 17 and 50 change up there. And there are going to be questions about that, and I want to be able to answer those questions. So if someone who does maps for us could take a look at that, I guess is what I'm saying, and draw it in there a little more clearly.
Okay, but I think that these are the supervisor's maps, so we can ask her if they have a tool to do that. Right? I mean, that's where they're coming from. So Commissioner Santos?
Thank you, Mayor. And just, so on that area, I don't know if we can put the map up again, that Glen Springs area, my understanding of looking at this on how, and then talking to the supervisor, is ones that are accessed from Glen Spring Road are in a different precinct. If you can zoom in. So if you access your home from 16th Avenue, you're going to be in District 4. And if you access your home from Glen Springs, then you would be in that, kind of how it's somewhat, that's my understanding of how the precincts are drawn.
I'm having a hard time telling what the boundary between, the southern boundary
Between 17 and 50 is. Can you tell what that is?
It's 22nd, 21st Street, 20th. I think these are some of the weird,
The east-west.
oh, the east-west?
I'm sorry, the northern,
We're getting the clicker.
yeah. Thank you.
Nope, not that one. Top right.
There we go. This line right here.
So I don't think it's this. I'm not sure. It's this, whatever the precinct. The supervisor drew a precinct line. I don't know exactly what street.
Okay. But that, because this is,
It looks like it's around 25th place.
I guess it
24th?
might be,
There's that block. There you go.
yeah, I just,
It looks like it's, it's the census block they followed. So.
That's the census block delineation?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, is this something we have to figure out right now, or can we get that answer by Thursday?
Thursday's not good because, yeah, I mean, if we can do it, fine, but I'll get with somebody maybe in sustainable development who can get a better map for me and overlay this on a better street map so that I can get a really clear picture of what these streets are here. I mean, it's kind of clear for some of them, but not entirely clear. And I think it's fair to ask for,
I think there might not be a street there. I think that might be like the back of Briarwood and Fox Grove.
I
where-
don't think it is. I mean, looking more closely, just a little above here that you can't actually see on that you can see on here is 25th Place. And I don't think this is 16th Avenue.
No, that's
Okay.
the back of Briarwood and
No,
all that.
no, Briarwood, this is still, this is my house somewhere about here, okay? And I'm in Briarwood proper. All right, we'll figure it out. Thank you.
Okay. So I'd like to invite members of the public that wish to speak to us right now about this. Any comments or questions? Mr. Blount? Welcome, good to see you.
Hello. Well, I also was wondering about community meetings. I thought I was too nosy to have missed them. I really came to see how this process was going, and I was glad to hear Commissioner Chestnut speak about legacy district and preserving that, because I look at what's happening at the state level, and it makes me very afraid, very worried, so I can at least ungrit my teeth on that count. But, you know, we see the state administration apparently trying to establish at least one chamber that reimagines Jim Crow legislature. So I was hoping to be sure that couldn't happen here. But I think community meetings are important, and I don't think Thursday is realistic to get community input, and it's been just waiting too long, I think, to start into the process. But I would think that you could get something valuable by next Tuesday if each commissioner committed to, as late as it is when your meeting ends tonight, make a first contact about the availability of what looks like a favorite watering hole gathering spot in your district, and activate at least one type phone tree type of person who knows precinct captains, etc. And maybe you can pull together some gathering by Friday evening or Sunday afternoon, or get people feeding back directly to you by phone or email across those days. But you have to do something to get it out to the community and get it back again, and Thursday is absolutely not realistic. You could, by tomorrow noon, let your communication persons know what each of you has decided, an actual gathering that you really want to let people have a chance to show up, raise their hands, and speak on the record, or just informal gathering of feedback one by one, or a few by one. And let that person know what to start putting out by tomorrow afternoon on WUFT, et cetera, and Cox Cable, and your own website, to let people know that it's time for immediate emergency feedback needed. But by Thursday is absolutely not realistic.
Good afternoon, Mr.
Welcome.
Mayor and Commissioners. Thank you, Commissioner Santos, for all your work, and Commissioner Ward and Chestnut for keeping us abreast of what's going on. But I have a concern from the last meeting when the consultants were here. They said it was virtually impossible. You all remember the last meeting with the consultants? They said there was nothing that could be done other than the proposed number 3, I think it was. So if they're coming back in with something different for what we're discussing today, what are we going to do?
It's up to us now.
Not we, you are.
Yeah, no, it's up to us now. They have done their job. It's up to us to figure out the final step.
Okay, because what we have now, Commissioner Barton said that it was workable.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope we don't change when the consultants come in and tell us it's virtually impossible to do it any other way. I guess it was just a little extra work that Commissioner Santos had to do. So we just don't want the consultants, because they sound very, very convincing to me when I was here before, and they said there was nothing else they could do. That was the only lines they could come up with. And now we have a sitting commissioner who came up with this line, and I'm concerned about us spending our money, a whole bunch of money, paying consultants when we actually have people, you know, in your administration that can do the same job. But all in all, I'm just happy, and I hope it works out the way it is. Thank you all so much for all your effort and time that you've put in this. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fox.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. I'm Rodney Long. 34 years ago, we had a conversation, the first conversation ever about single-member districting. And it's a flashback for me to be sitting here and listening to this conversation about single-member districting. And we need to understand why 34 years ago, we had this conversation about single-member districting. And the conversation was because African Americans felt that they did not have access to the ballot box. And so the at-large system that we had, although we had African Americans elected, African Americans overwhelmingly in precincts that were predominantly black voted for the people they wanted. So the NAACP, at my encouraging in 1984, we came to this commission and asked them to entertain looking at changing the at-large system to single-member districting. And although we had a charter amendment that passed, there was nothing in the charter amendment that said, oh, by the way, we have to protect District 1 because that's the African-American legacy seat. Although it's not written there, that's why we got single-member districting. We have to do everything that we can to protect the integrity of minority access. Whatever options they are, we have to do that. Now, voter age population is usually the data point that we normally look at when we're trying to protect or have access for minorities. That's one data point. The other data point is how people vote in terms of people. Now, we all know the duck pond. Precinct 27 is probably the most active voting precinct in the city limits. We all know that. And we all know that Precinct 27 historically have voted for African Americans all the time. We need to be looking forward thinking. Precinct 27, as liberal as it is, could one day, if it remained in this particular district, could upset the whole concept of District 1. I appreciate Commissioner Hayes Santos trying his best to try to figure out a way to make sure that we protect the integrity of District 1. Now, the precinct that you're bringing in now, if you look at the voting age population and you try to make the district in terms of African Americans, you're not going to get there. But if you look at the other data point of how they vote, they don't vote. So that's why the increase, you would see the increase in terms of African Americans voting, the population would increase. Now, if that's the strategy we need to use to protect District 1, then that's what y'all need to approve. I've already heard supervisor of elections say it could work. Me looking at it, I know it's workable. There are going to be some precinct splits here and there, but not necessarily in District 1.
Thank you.
The people in District 1, all they want to know is, are we going to be able to elect a person of our choice?
Thank you,
and I
Mr.
think we
Long.
will be able to.
We appreciate the man who is the legacy reminding us of the district that was the legacy, is the legacy district. Because I mean, I don't say that to minimize. I mean, it was a huge effort that you led to get us to that point. And so it's, I think we're privileged to have you here, still keeping an eye on it to make sure that the original intent is still how it is being applied today. So appreciate that institutional wisdom, as they say politely. Okay, well, we'll get some of that feedback, hopefully from the supervisor as well as other folks. Have a follow-up on Thursday. I mean, I think certainly what I know that Commissioner Ward and a few other folks asked for some very specific information. I think from the supervisor, if she's able to look at it with her team and say, this will work with my precincts and what she needs to do, that's huge. And I think those other things are sort of nibbling around the edges, but will get us very close. So want to thank the city manager and the clerk for, I know this is very short notice, but I think it will be much appreciated by our neighbors that we make this effort. And then we'll get the ordinance first reading at our next city commission meeting. Anything else?
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah, go
Sorry,
ahead.
I apologize if I'm restating the obvious, but while we certainly can, I think, rely on these preliminary proposed precincts by the supervisor, there is a recognition that we can't actually redistrict until they've been accepted by and adopted by the county commission. Is that, again, I may be just restating the obvious, but just to
Yep.
make sure everyone's on the same page there when we're talking about scheduling special meetings to take action.
Okay, understood. Thank you. Any word when the county plans to do that? I know
I've asked them
soon, right?
repeatedly, they don't have a date yet. I think they're anticipating it being soon, and I hope it's sooner than soon. But I think that's what their next step will be, as soon as they finish the rest of the county, is then getting on that county agenda.
Yeah, which might be as soon as next Tuesday.
Hope so.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. Commissioner Santos?
Thank you, Mayor. So they are deciding this. I guess one other option is not do our district by precinct and do it by road as well. I don't know that. I guess that's a lot more.
I think that, I'm sorry, sir, I think that would take even longer, because it's almost as bad as doing it by meets and bounds. We'd have to have it surveyed and drawn up, and you're talking about a whole nother level of complexity that honestly then is gonna, then we are just disregarding the precincts. We're going to create a multitude of splits. I think this is gonna get there quickly, where they'll have, it sounds like they're gonna have the rest of the county done soon. And again, I can imagine, I'm not an elections expert, obviously, by any means, that the rest of the county won't have the same sort of changes because the population isn't as dense. So hopefully, as soon as they have that done, I know it will be a priority of theirs to get it to the county commission. And I'm not aware of any notion that the county commission is going to be having wholesale changes, especially with the precincts within the city.
Yeah, I will be shocked if the county commission does not accept the
Yes, sir.
supervisor's precincts.
I agree, sir.
I would be shocked. I know there are some counties where that might be the case, but I don't believe this one. Okay, thank you for that. Okay, so all in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. We now have an opportunity for general public comment. Okay, any member comment? All right, well, thank you all very much. We are adjourned.